Hey folks, this is Meredith from the Papery Craftery. Today's video is going to be pretty quick. I'm going to be sharing a tool that I've used a million times, but I don't think I've made a full video about yet, and that is a paper crimper. I have a small one here, and essentially it's just two wheels that spin with a handle, and you probably figure out how this works pretty easily, but you're just sliding your quilling paper strip between the teeth to get it started. And then a few turns of the handle, it will come out the other side and it'll be crimped or bumped or lumpy or whatever else you want to call it. But it's a great tool to have and add some texture to your quilling. Instead of just a straight smooth paper, you can use these strips for a few different things. It's definitely a good tool to have around. I also want to share, this is what had me thinking of doing this video, is I got this new mega crimper here. It actually has 6 different sets of teeth, so you can do 2 there, 2 there, and 2 there, and each one will have a different pattern of crimp to the strip. So this is actually something that they showed on the website when I bought it, and I thought it would be a little bit helpful so you could see that each strip is going to be slightly different. So these are the 2 smaller ones. The teeth are the closest together, so you're going to get a real tight wave. These 2 are sort of in the middle, and then the 2 on the end are definitely the widest of the bumps, very slightly wavy. And from the top view there, you can see how they're all a little bit different. Very cool. The closest of the crimps are definitely more like my older tool, that smaller purple one. But this tool was not very expensive. I will link it down below. It's definitely more fun to have. It's quite large, as you can see. It's like much bigger than my hands, but it's pretty fun to have around, and it makes, I don't know, you can think of a million things to do with these probably. I saw a really cool picture. I wish I knew who the artist was, but it was a jellyfish, and they used a bunch of different crimped strips as the tentacles hanging down from the jellyfish. It was beautiful. So whoever made that, kudos. It was really, really cool. Before I let you go, I just wanted to show a project that you could do really quickly with some crimped paper, in case you're like, yeah, I get it, it's cool, but why would I want this? What would I ever do with this? You can roll crimped paper. It's not very difficult. You want to be careful that you don't smush the crimps down, but if you use a wider slotted tool and you very gently roll it, again, we're not making this a really tight roll. You're just rolling it around itself. You can make these into coils or into shapes, and it will hold up just fine. It ends up looking like I'm going to make a couple of little flowers here. It looks like a very fluttery sort of petal when it's done, one of those very, very thin petals with a lot of texture to it. So after I rolled it and took it off my tool, I just glued the end down and made a teardrop by pinching one end, and that's all there is to that. And with a few more, I can turn these into a small little flower. I just am doing a standard 5-petal little flower here, so these are going to be just glued into a star shape. I get the look that I like for this, I'm just going to set this aside to dry for a moment. I am going to show you how I make cupped flowers, sort of molded flowers, in a moment, so don't go away for that. But I also wanted to show another way that you could use the crimper in the same project. First thing I'm going to do is take a strip of a pale yellow, and I'm going to use my scissors and very, very carefully split it in 2. If you have thinner paper, like a 1/16 inch or a 1 millimeter, by all means, you can crimp things that small. I didn't have any in that size in the yellow color that I wanted, but I'm just making these real thin strips from, like I said, cutting that one in half, and I'm going to, I can get this to cooperate. There we go. I'm going to run it through the thinnest crimp of my tool, and then just make tiny little strips that I'm going to use in the center of my flower. I mentioned a minute ago how I like to mold my flowers. Sometimes you don't want your flowers to be totally flat. You want them to have a little bit of shape to them. So I actually take a quilling mold and flip it upside down. And then I just use whatever cup I think is going to be the right size for the flower that I'm making, and just sort of set it in there and push the center down just a little bit. It works the best if your glue hasn't totally dried yet. Then it does a little bit of give to it, and then it will just completely dry in this shape. So that's something that might come in handy for your projects. But anyway, now I am taking those super thin strips of yellow, and I'm going to be using tacky glue for this part. It's because I wanted them to dry fairly quickly, and doing a little dip method with some tweezers and putting them right in the center of my purple flower for more of a, I think they're like the stamen, the part that sort of stand up out of the flower. I'm going to add a few more, but that is the look that I'm going for. I know that one fell down, but we will fix it. There we go. Everybody's standing up now and very happy. This is definitely something you could use any size of the crimper for. But like I said, I was mostly using the smallest just to get a lot of good texture on these. And then I also, just to add a little bit more of additional design to the project, just ran some of that same yellow back through the crimper and just rolled them into a coil and glued the end without shaping. And then just to finish it off, I'm adding some leaves that I made on a quilling comb. I made that video a few weeks ago. I will link to that down below, just to tie everything together, not to go too overboard with the crimping. But I just wanted to show, like I said, this whole idea was to just give you some inspiration, recommend another tool that you might want to add to your quilling toolbox. They're not expensive. I will again link to, if I can find the original one I had, the purple one, I'll link to that, and then also the new one that I just got, I'll put them down below. But I hope that everybody got a little bit of inspiration or some new ideas of what you can do with your paper just to add another dimension to your quilling projects. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next video that I make. Leave any comments or questions down below, and I will also be leaving any links that you need down in the description box as well. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.